You will have noticed when you clicked on to this link from the Guild website that the session is being recorded. In fact, all sessions are being recorded. So if any of you don't wish to have your images on the video, then you can always stop your video. But sorry about the dog. Hang on. Also, any youngsters who are on the session, you will have been deemed to have had parental permission to appear. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, could you all please, I can see that you are mainly, yes, you've all got your microphones muted. This is a good idea because it prevents any extraneous background noise like barking dogs, for example, television sets. The method of asking questions is to use the chat facility, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen. If you click on that, and you can then ask a message. If you send any questions to me or to Tony Geary, that is, I see we've got another Tony on, then we will field those questions and ask Nigel appropriately. So I think we'll kick off then. So I'll introduce you to Nigel, who's just disappeared. And Nigel will explain what he's going to be doing today. Oh, incidentally, if you want to put your view to speaker view, which is, if you go up to the top right-hand corner of your panel, you'll see the word view and 9 little squares. If you click that and select speaker view, then whoever is speaking is on full screen, and the rest of you are sort of as thumbnails along the top or down the side. So, Nigel, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I can see some familiar names there, and returning people coming back to another virtual show. Leave it. Right. My computer is doing wacky things. Last time we were here, we were started on a Northeastern Railway 1265 class, which is a very, very old 240. You can just about see it in the background. Can you see it? For some reason, I've still got you, Dave.
Yep, we can see it perfectly.
You can see it. That's good. I've got it on speaker view, and I can't see me speaking. Not that I really want to see myself speaking, but don't know what's going on there. Okay, so I was.
That's fine. We can see you perfectly.
What? So I was discussing with Dave and various people about building stuff, and I always sort of trying to push myself all the time and scratch building or challenging things. But I was thinking about newcomers to the hobby and people that have never scratch built, hand built, or done anything. So what I thought I'd do is I'd build a DJH starter kit. DJH is a very well-established engineering company, and they make some fantastic kits. And if anybody wanted somewhere to start in building in O gauge, I could recommend it. You can't be a total novice. There are some things in there that you have to learn. So you'd have to go to school and done your metalwork or whatever, or sat by somebody and learn how to use a drill. But this kit, I think, is ideal as a starter kit for people. So it comes in a nice box, which is about 5 times as big as the model will end up, but it comes in a very nice box with a picture of the said model on the side. this is starter kit, and it's reference K338. So I don't know how many kits. Was that kit number 338? Who knows? But it comes in a big box. You empty the box, and inside it are a load of bits and pieces. Unfortunately, I've started, here's one I started earlier. So a lot of the parts are already out. But on opening the box, I transferred all of the parts from the kit, you can see in there, into a little safety box, as I call it, because I've got cats. And the number of times when I've had bits of model that have disappeared and end up by the radiator or whatever is unbelievable. So I've got a kit of parts here, and what I actually did is I split it into lost wax castings, bits and pieces for the chassis, and all the rest. So I've got sort of a process that I can follow. So safe, locked, so the cats won't get it. Also in the kit, fortunately, like I said, here's some I started earlier. We've got a etchings, lovely, lovely, lovely etchings. One thing I'll say about DJH is they do actually think about how people will cut the etchings out. A lot of kit manufacturers, they have the etch and they have got a couple of tabs on the side where it joins onto the main fret, which is great. But how do you get your pliers in? How do you get your pliers in? So last year I built the DJH Northeastern Railway D class. I don't know. I think it's also available as a LNER A8 class. But I built the kit, and it was the first one that I built for a long time by DJH. And I would notice that the frets, can you see that? It's got a little cutout there. No, how close we can get to this. It's got a little cutout, so you can actually fit your pliers in between, and you can snip it. And I don't know if any other kit manufacturers do this, but anybody who's designing a kit, an etch brass kit, do that. Think about people's pliers, please. The alternative way of cutting these things out, of course, I'm going to lose this now. But the other way of cutting things out is by using a knife. You know, you get yourself a knife and a bit of wood, and you're pushing down. But some of these parts are very fine, so they can get damaged and bent. But this little recess, I tell you, top marks to DJH or whoever it was who thought of it. Maybe other people have done it, but it's a blooming good idea. So that's my little speech about that for today. When I've previously been building models on this show, it's always been starting from scratch or part built, and you don't actually see sort of the real thing. Last time I was building some frames, which is all right if you're doing a subject about building frames, but what I decided to do this time is here's something I started earlier. So earlier, this is the chassis for the kit. This has taken me about 2 hours to get to here. Now, if you're a starter and you be on this, it probably will take a little bit longer, but it's fairly straightforward. 2 hours bar one thing, and probably the hardest bit in building this entire kit is there's a load of rivets to drill through and drill out. You could probably potentially just pop it with a center punch. You could use a center punch, or just leave it, and when you paint a model, is the shadow could also create a raised section. But anyway, all of these were drilled out and soldered, a bit of wire put through, soldered up and fitted in place. So that's probably the hardest bit of the entire model to build. So I have folded up the chassis, which was, the chassis is a one-piece section which folds up, and then there's a whole load of spacers that go into it. Spacers, there's one here, there's one here for the motor, there's one here at the end, and it forms up a nice stiff box. Next job was to laminate the two coupling rods together, make sure that they were exactly the same. And then I inserted the bearings. Plug this again, Poppy's Woodtech 7-scale modeller's large local builder box, which last time I used to assemble the chassis for the Jinx's Baby, the Northeastern 1265. But I've mounted the four wheels into, sorry, not the four wheels. I mounted the four bearings into the chassis, slotted it through, fastened up the coupling rods on either end, and soldered it up. So these are all soldered, and of course, right from the start, this thing is moving along quite nicely. So it's quite pleased with that. I still don't know why my view isn't showing me. That's better. I've got me now. So enough of that. Right. So now I can see what I'm showing you. It's quite bright, isn't it? There's also reflectivity. I'm speaking to you from Slovakia. Speaking to you from Slovakia, so I'm not your typical local member. I am quite a distance away. Today, I don't know what the weather's like with you, but let's be British about this and talk. The weather here, you can't see a cloud in the sky. And when I got up this morning, it was -8. I've got the window open now because I'm so hot. It's still bright, isn't it? Better. You don't see the shine off the top of my head anymore.
Well, if it's any consolation to you, Nigel, we had a hurricane here earlier in the week, so.
Hurricane?
Yeah.
It's horrendous, isn't it? Yeah. Lots of damage, or was it all right?
We lost 2 roof tiles, that's all.
We have a what do you call it? Galvanized roof. So if we lose our roof, we really are screwed. So, yeah. Alex looks like being the youngest. I think we had a conversation in the past, didn't we, about building models, maybe on Facebook. So anybody starting at building a kit, I'd recommend this. I've built the chassis mainly because then I can show you some progress on the model. So the next part, obviously, after the chassis is oh, that's come undone. That's good. The next part after building the chassis is the footplate. This kit is incredible as a starter kit, and the reason why is because DJH, the clever boys at DJH and girls, of course, have designed it to be very much a simple thing to assemble. So there's a chassis, one casting. Other DJH casting, it's like the Piercy models that they do, which Walter Hodgson made back in the day. This chassis this running plate would have been 4 parts, and you'd have to laminate them all together in places, solder it all up, and it would have been a nightmare. That's the boiler. That's an incredible casting. To get it with all the, get the shrinkages right and everything, I don't know how they do it. But as they say in Slovakia, klobuk dole, hat off. So There's no having to fold a boiler, a smoke box wrapper. There's no having to fit the chimney on, and there's no having to put the dome on and make sure that it's straight and it's not in the wrong place. Even the little washout plugs, he says, even the little washout plugs are in place. There's a pipe. There's a steam pipe in place. So a lot of the work is taken out for you. So all that you have to really do on here is to attach the fittings. So there's a series of holes for the handrail knobs and all the rest of it.
Nigel, how much cleaning up did that require, that part that you're holding there?
Not a lot. There's God, it's sunshine. You can see. No, you can't. Yes, you can. You can see under here. There's a few bits and pieces here. I have to say, I wasn't going to say this right away, but I have to say that this kit is for a LNER G5. And it's different to a Northeastern Railway O-class. And the reason is it is almost entirely to do with the boiler. And the loco, when it entered into LNER time, I think they increased the boiler pressure, but certainly changed the boiler design. So this has got a later boiler. Because I'm a Northeastern modeler and because I'm stupid, I was speaking with the nice people at DJH about this and got a lot of advice. Very, very, very helpful company. And as well as all of these bits, they very kindly said, well, if you're stupid enough to do this, I've got to move the dome. So they very kindly provided me with a spare. So I guess it's from one of their castings which hasn't gone quite right, and so they just dropped it out for me and they provided me with a spare. And what I have, this has got all the way along here, the model has got, here we go, you can see boiler bands. And what I will do, not today, because I don't think it's fair for somebody doing a starter kit to start bashing it around, but what I will be doing will probably be removing a lot of this detail and making it sort of Northeastern. So you can see what a Northeastern. That's the door, that's the window shut. Where I live, it's really, really quiet, and at night you can't hear a thing. But every so often you'll get a farmer or somebody going along with a 4x4 tractor or something like that, and all hell breaks loose. That's a Northeastern Railway O-class. Basically the dome is in a slightly different position. The safety valve, I'm not a safety valve expert, but my one will have a brass trumpet on the top of it, and the kit comes with the two. Are they Ram's bottoms? The two
Halters, aren't they?
What's it called?
Are they separate, or do they have a lever across?
Halters. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They're separate. Yeah. So I decided that what would be a good idea is to. Well, I'm investigating whether to modify this and see how I get on. I might just build it as a LNER one, and then if anybody's interested in it, you could I'll sell it to you. But it depends on how easy it's going to be. So building this model has been really straightforward. So the amount of fettling, Dave, you asked about fettling this thing up. There's more reflection than you can see here. One of the jobs to do, which I decided I wanted to make sure, is that you make sure that the body and the boiler all sit square, and there's no gap there at the end. When I first started assembling this, is that the boiler section was wobbling. It had like a pivot point on it. So I've just very carefully filed it back. But you know, if you're building a kit of any form, it's good to have a flat surface. This surface here is my resistance iron board. So when David contacted me about half an hour ago, no, 40 minutes ago, I was putting some nice fresh tin foil on the resistance iron board. So you saw the boiler. You haven't seen this bit. This body casting is huge. This is obviously the body of the loco. There's the tanks, the cab. The cab roof is fixed. I have touched it. I've cleaned it up. I've cleaned it up a little bit. It actually comes pre-fettled by the factory anyway, so they get a lot of the flash off, and there isn't too much to be seen. The loco is designed that when it was built in the old, originally by the Northeast, it had round porthole windows at the back, but there's like a coal, not a coal scuttle, a cage for, it's classic G5 look. There's a cage at the back to hold the coal, so they could increase the capacity, and they changed the window. But I'll keep it as that. But that's that. The front of it, the windows, the portholes are part of the casting. Now, if you were building, say, the DJH A8 class or anything like that, this would be a separate little etching, and it would be in brass because it's brass. So you could keep it like this, or you could file it back and get some brass and put that in instead. Laurie Griffin Miniatures makes cab window portholes, so you just need to know the diameter, and you'll probably have something to suit. Cab door is even cast into the thing, and there are no, which slightly rankles me, but there's no handrail getting to the cab. It's cast into the model as well. But it's a starter kit, so it's a great way to get people to start building a model railways. It's not the cheapest kit in the world, and the reason is because so much is done for you. But if you want, at the end of the day, to have a model which looks really nice and will run well, then this is probably it. I have no connection with DJH, by the way. I've built a lot of their models, but I don't work for them, so this isn't an advertisement. It's just my view, just my honest view. The kit also comes with comprehensive instructions, but rather less instructions than you'd get in a typical DJH kit, because frankly, there's less to do. But you get a bit of history, suggestion of books you can look at to refer to. So they're saying Locos of the LNER Part 7 by the RCTS, which is good series. Yeadon's Register of LNER Locos, Volume 38. I can't believe it, 38 or plus. Tony Wright has done helpful hints for modelers, and then there's a list of all the parts, which I always go through and tick them, just so that I can identify what they are, and B, what's what. The kit comes with different series of different fittings, which you can or cannot use, or you've got a choice. That's what I meant to say. So you've got a choice of smoke box front. You can have the BR one with the number plate, or you can have the LNER version. It comes with a choice of buffer beams, so you have the original Northeastern Railway tapered buffers, or you can have the more modern BR type buffers. So you can see everything you've got. The kit, when you buy the kit, you have everything you need to get it to run. So it comes with wheels, it comes with motors, it's pretty much ready to go. What you need are a set of tools, and you would need obviously some solder or some means that you're going to join this thing together. I mainly solder. I would solder 99% of this model. It just makes for a much stronger model than if you were to be starting to glue things together. You do need a soldering iron because there's parts where you must solder, and it's probably a good idea when you're buying, so if you're going to buy a soldering iron, is to buy one where you can control the temperature. So this one here has a dial on it, and you dial in the temperature that you want. White metal melts at a lot lower temperature than brass or nickel silver. The chassis of this is made of nickel silver, so you can wind the soldering iron up for that. That's not a problem. But if you waft a soldering iron that's at 400 degrees, that's a white metal kit. You don't want to do. But by studying what the temperature is, I don't know if Dougie's on today from New Zealand, but he swears by this. He actually builds all of his models now using 70-degree low melt solder. 70 degrees, I mean, it's very, you don't want to put it in a hot wash, really, do you? But I guess if you wanted to rebuild a model, you could just boil it and it fall apart. But 70-degree low melt solder is ideal for assembling bits of white metal to white metal. So that's that.
Can I just interrupt you?
Of course you can.
Nigel, to say if anybody has got any questions, rather than if you don't want to use the chat facility, if you want to momentarily unmute yourself, you can ask Nigel a question.
Absolutely, I haven't got a problem.
I'm sure there must be some questions. Yeah?
Can I leap in at this point and do just that? Because I think it fits quite naturally with where you've got to, Nigel. Yep. Which is you've shown us the big bits.
Yes.
The running plate, the tanks and cab assembly, and the boiler assembly. On one of the DJH design starter kits I've made in the past, those big bits are actually screwed together. How are these going to be fitted? Are they going to screw, or are they going to be put together as solder?
Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one person can see the lips moving. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was what I was going to come to, actually.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Possibly the next session was to just go, ta! This kit, basically in the chassis, there's you can see a load of holes. And in the box that I had, there are a load of self-tapping screws. So all that you've got to do to assemble these three parts and the splasher, the front splasher, which goes onto the side of the smoke box, is you just need a series of self-tapping screws. So this could be assembled, probably screwed together in about 10 minutes. And you go from just having a chassis and to like, good grief, this thing's nearly finished.
Are the holes for the self-tapping screws pre-cast, or do you have to drill them, Nigel?
You have to drill them. So here's you can see the two screws here.
There is an indication where they've got to be, yeah.
Well, there's an indication. So everything in the kit has an indication, which I think a lot of kit manufacturers do. I've lost on this side here, you can see a little dimple, or you can see a big dimple here. This one's missing. So I think when it's been cast, they use is it called a linisher? It's like a big flat thing, and you put the job on it and it just flattens it, smooths it. Linisher. So they've linished it, and it sits perfectly flat on my flat piece of flatness, but I've lost a little thing there. So with that, what I'd probably do is to assemble the bits that I can see, and then I'd just center pop or find the center of the hole for the missing one, and pop it and drill it. But yeah, it's substantial. I mean, all of the fixing points here, you can see in the web, in the casting, is it goes all the way up there, and it's tough. I mean, it's a lot of the models I build are all quite dainty. They don't fall apart, but they're quite dainty. This thing is like, it's quite robust. So
I think it's worth mentioning, Nigel, that not only is that kit suitable for a let's say an inexperienced modeler, in that a lot of it's done for you. Also, it's suitable for somebody who hasn't got a great deal of time, because that part you've just been holding, the tanks and the cab and so on, that's a one-piece casting. Now on a conventional etched kit, there's about 20 or 30 parts there to be stuck together.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, there's certainly well over a dozen parts there. Well over a dozen parts in that, and it's just, and for somebody who hasn't got a lot of time, it will assemble quickly. It'll assemble very quickly. I'd also say, anybody who says, "Oh, I'm going to build this one," there's a series of videos. Because when I said I was going to do this, they've kindly told me, and did something on my bonfire. Said that, oh, there's somebody already doing this, and was it Peter
Reynolds?
For some reason, but Peter Reynolds is building.
If you go onto the YouTube, the Guild YouTube channel, he has a series of videos showing him building that very same model.
Yeah,
but he had no objection to you doing it today.
No. I think it's a good partner to it, because people sort of, it's a bit of a discussion rather than him just saying this is how I built it. He seems to be getting on with it quite well, doesn't he? He's got to about part 8, so he's built the chassis, he's done the body. I think he's screwed all the parts on. He hasn't talked about how he soldered all of the little castings in place and stuff like that, but he's getting on with it. How anybody can build a model sitting on their bed is another thing. It isn't really what I'd call a good practice.
Nigel?
Yes.
Can I ask how you would drill those blind holes for the self-tappers, by hand or the mini drill?
I'll probably use a Dremel. I've got my Dremel here. I do also have a whole series of little pin drills, and I've got an battery-operated electric drill for the big stuff. Yeah, so if you've got a little battery Bosch type small battery drill for drilling these things, the instructions in here are very clear. It's got a nice little symbol. I don't know if you can see it. Where the hell you get a 2.1 millimeter drill? Well, it's a bit of an odd size, but 2 millimeter, 1 millimeter. It tells you how the size to drill. The body.
The drill service on the traders' websites, you can get every single size there. So you would be able to get 2.1.
Yeah, that's very true. I'd have to get them sent to Slovakia. So yeah, so with this, on this model, for under the 3 at the front here, it's saying 1.8, and I do actually have 1.8 millimeter drill, so I have 1.8 millimeter. You don't want to make it too far either way, because it would either be too hard for the self-tapper to drill in and it'll distort the model, or if you drill it sort of too big, then there's no meat for the self-tapping screw to screw onto. So you should try and follow what they're saying. So when you get the kits, it's probably worth looking to see what you need. If you haven't got the drill bits, then go get it. Or you could use, I've got to get back to the UK and I haven't been back since COVID started. You could use a brooch and open it up a bit. Or if you're feeling brave, you could use a small file, but it's very difficult to do it on white metal because white metal is so soft that it kind of grips the file. It doesn't like it very much, so you have to be very gentle and it's a slow process. If you had the right size drill bit, then this thing would take seconds to do. What I'll do, I won't do it now, but when you come to the second session, I will have drilled all these, and then we can do some drilling, do some thing together, so you can see what you need.
What motor will you be using, Nigel?
The motor is different to the one as advertised. The motor comes with the kit. So, like I said, everything comes together. This is a Canon EN22. Whatever that may be. And I bought the kits. When it arrived, they very kindly wrote, important, please note that at the time of packing the Mishima 1833D, which is what the frame here, which holds the motor, the 1833 was unavailable, so it's been substituted with a suitable replacement. So the two mounting holes at the front of the motor that are the closest fit to the, then gently open out the two mounting holes where necessary with a suitable needle file. We will also need to open out the central mounting hole to 7.6 diameter to clear the front boss. So you need to tweak it a little bit, but there's full instructions there how to do it. So yeah, so it'll be a Mishima. It comes with these black, well, I presume these are blackened brass or steel, and not made of Delrin or something, but who knows? We'll find out. The gears. For me, not that I will probably be running it round that length, but my modelling background, I'm the junior member still of the Keithley 7mm group. So as Robin calls me, junior member, and running that model around a layout like Ravenspec, which is a huge tail chaser. If you were running it with plastic gears on it, I think it would wear out after a few laps. But they'd be perfectly suitable if you had a little short end-to-end shunting layout or something like that. It'd be perfectly all right. So I will investigate that, but I'm not saying that as a negative to the kit or anything like that, because I just don't know. But there we go. What would you like me to do, gentlemen? If there are any ladies.
I was just going to say, Nigel, the Canons are used by ABC and others, I believe. So they're sort of a widely used motor.
Oh yeah. That's very true. There's a huge range of motors available. ABC are very good. I've used, I can't remember the name of the company. MSC, is that right?
Yeah.
MSC, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of other motor companies around, traders doing that. So again, visit the Guild website. And you can see it is quite useful actually. The Guild website for that. The traders list and how somebody must sit there religiously copying every single product that they do. But I've got a list which I compiled based on that and on all the Northeastern Railway bits that are available and have been available. we did it as an exercise, with Keith, is a millimeter group, we'll call them, just to see what was and what is available. And don't tell the wife, she's gone out. There's a pile of stuff up there.
The other thing I was going to ask is, I've not built that many 440s. They can be quite unbalanced, can't they? Because you've got all the weight at one end. What keeps it not from tipping onto the bogey? So that, how does the bogey move? Does that take some of the weight? Is there a spring? Yeah, there we are.
It all fell apart when I started talking. I started talking to you, and the whole thing all fell apart on me. But yeah, it's got a spring, and I assembled it last night with. I mean, this is the majority of the weight. All this lot down here. This is the majority of the weight, and it's reasonably heavy. I'll try and find out. I'm not going to do this because springs are going to go all eating everywhere. But it sits on there. I mean, it sits a bit high. It's the wheel, the bogey sits like that instead of sort of sitting in nicely. So the spring may need a bit of fettling or whatever.
Surely when you get the weight on it, Nigel, that will compress the spring, won't it?
Didn't compress it very much. Did a little, but not fully. So I haven't read the instructions to see what they say about it. When I've built a lot of models, although I've built a lot of models for other people, and in recent years I've said, right, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do now for myself. And when you're building a kit, if you're experienced with it, I mean, this thing goes to page 7, do this, page 8, do that. And sometimes it might be better to start on page 9 and work backwards. I don't know. There are different ways. Building the chassis is probably the most important thing. So you probably build that first. But I tend to get it so that it's a rolling chassis and you know that it works. Test it with a motor, and then I'll turn my attention to the running plate and that area, because on most locos that you build is that it splits into 2 sections. It splits into the chassis and the body, and you need them both to fit together. I have built models in the past where you start building it and you do it by the book, and then you suddenly realize that when you screw the chassis to the body of the loco, and then everything seizes up, and you go, what's going on here? And you discover that there's something slightly distorted in the frame or in the body that distorts the frame when you screw it together, and the model doesn't come together. It won't run properly. So you have to then sort of work out what's right and what's gone wrong. So now by sort of building it in 2 phases like that, is that I tend to find that it will be easier to diagnose what's gone wrong. Nothing should go wrong, really, should it? But the law of sod always applies. One other thing I'll say about this kit, which I do like, again, unfortunately, this is designed as an L&ER loco, so they were painted black. I'm painting mine green. So when I've finished with the modifications and everything, this bit is black. Get the airbrush out and spray it black. This bit is principally green. So it'll be really easy to line it out because it's not bouncy to anything, and it's light, so it's easy to handle. And the only bit that needs to be painted black is the roof and the tank top. So all the rest of it for painting, you get a lovely crisp green line at the bottom here to match with this. It should go together really well. And the same thing with the boiler. If you are putting lining on a model in a boiler, for example, it's really difficult to do if everything is assembled together and it's all together like that. To line this piece here, these across the boiler pans. Doing it like this is really easy. So a lot of the professional painters and everything will tell you, can you make it so I can disassemble it? Because lining can be an absolute nightmare. This thing in the background you can see there, you won't believe how much lining there is involved in it, and I'm not going to do it.
Can I ask about the pickup arrangements, because that's a bit that people often find tricky. What are the pickup arrangements on this kit?
So in this kit, the first thing you do is the front bogey, the rear bogey. So this bogey comes as a one-piece casting. So again, if you were building a normal DJH kit, you'd buy this, and you'd have a top, you'd have the two side bits. You might have to attach the springs and all the rest of it. It's the same as the Northeastern D-Class kit that they did. They've pre-drilled the holes to take the axles. I always think, why on earth would you put it in a white metal and steel axle? Wouldn't it wear out? But that's how they really work, isn't it? I'm saying that on a steam locomotive. You watch the North Yorkshire Moors website, Facebook page, and they're always talking about putting white metal in the bearing, so it should work. So it comes as a one piece, and right in the middle of here, you can see. Can you see very slightly 3 small holes? But those 3 small holes hold a DJH pickup assembly, which
I think Stephen's waiting to ask a question, Nigel.
Yeah. So you can see that phosphor bronze. There's a pickup, and there's 2 pickups. So they go on either side of that. So that's one point, and then in here there's 2 other, and they're using. I'm 99% certain they're using standard Slater's pickups, because they're using Slater's wheels in the kit as well. So it's Slater's plunger pickups. So it's picking up on six axles.
Great. Can I just, before we move on too far, can I just take you back to what you were saying about painting and sub-assemblies, or the big blocks? You're going to paint the running plate black and the tanks and things green. Are you therefore going to paint it before you screw it all together? Or is it possible to screw it all together and then unscrew these self-tapping screws? I kind of assumed they were one-off.
I reckon that you should be able to. Self-tappers, if you're canny with them, you should be able to unscrew them again. There should be no problem there. What I would do when I was finally assembling it, if I was going to finally assemble it, I'd do some form of stud lock or something like that. Right.
As an engineer, Nigel, I can confirm that yes, self-tapping screws are designed to be removable. The fact that they form their own thread, so long as you pick up that same thread when you reassemble, there shouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't want to do it too many times on white metal, though.
No, you wouldn't want to do it too many times. That is absolutely for certain. But here's my photograph. Okay, this was last time. Can you see, is that in focus?
Yeah.
Right. It's not in focus on my screen, but anyway, that is a Northeastern Railway. It's called a Jinx's Baby. You saw how much lining there was on that. Yeah, you saw how much lining there was. There's a hell of a lot of lining. So I'm showing off now. This is where I'm at with that. It's got a lot of brass on it. This model is very pretty. Bush, who was the designer of this loco, he was Stockton and Darlington loco engineer, chief engineer possibly. even into the northeastern days. So when it Stockton Darlington Railway amalgamated with the Northeastern Railway, he continued. And this particular loco that I'm building was used at an exhibition in 1875 or something like that. And it's all this bit's brass and all the rest of it. And you think, okay, stop talking, Nigel. How would somebody paint all of that detail? And the only way that you could do it is by, well, first of all, you take the chassis off, and the valve gear is all painted red, and inside here is red, except that the moving parts tended to be south color. So all that comes out. This all dismantles. And then this reverser comes out. The back head will remove. It's not finished yet, but I've got so far. The back head is designed so that it's got an inside back bit as well. So, and the reason why I did that is because I'm really bad at glazing things, and by having the glazing sandwiched between the front and this at the back, is that there's no super glue steaming up or anything like that. And then for the painter, this is a one-piece unit, so he will literally be able to put the lining on and all the rest. So yeah, that's what kind of answer the idea of the question, Stephen. Yeah. So that's
thanks. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Whereas I think it was about 2 virtual shows ago. I can't remember the name of the painter because I'm so bad. Rathbone?
Yeah, Ian Rathbone.
Ian Rathbone did a very, and find it, you'll find it on the Guild's website. Ian Rathbone did a very, very interesting presentation about how to prepare the model for lining or for painting. And he, one of the things that he was very, very definite about was make it so it will dismantle so it's easy for the painter. Just as an example, this area in here is lined, sorry, and this face here is lined. And if it was all assembled, you've got to get a bow pen in there and to do the lining, and it would be really, really, really difficult if it wasn't supplied in this state. So I think I've interpreted everything that's required for making it capable of being lined out. But if you're just painting it black, right? If you paint this G5 if you're doing it as an LNER one, then all that you've got to do is you've got that, and then the only bits that need painting red on that model would be the buffer beam between the frames. So it's not so hard. Sorry, can you hear a cat crying in the background? Can't hear it? That's good.
Yeah, we can hear it. How will you glaze the G5? What is there a recess inside the cab for glazing, or is it just the thickness of the material?
Just the thickness of the material. And I was actually looking at it last night and thinking, I don't know what to do here. The kit comes with the glazing. It's a small sheet of Perspex, and of course here you've obviously got your porthole. You've got that. Now the thickness of this, I would say, is about 2 mil thick. Certainly 1.5 to 2 millimeters thick. So I would, for this, it won't be perfect, but you should probably just put the glazing in the back and across the back and the front. The way the loco cab is designed, it'd be very difficult to see inside it anyway. So it's not as though it's going to show up in the model, I don't think. But where it would show is that I think normally the glass would be a lot. Well, there's the brass ring that goes around the front of the porthole. I think that attaches the glass is sandwiched between two of those. So it's going to be sitting a little bit too far back. There is one way, if you're masochistic, is you measure the diameter of
If you like chocolate, you could try Ferrero Rocher box plastic and file that up to shape. If you.
Oh, yeah. So this is it's a 10 millimeter. It's a 10 millimeter porthole. Where's it going?
While Nigel's searching for that, I will say to everybody, we're coming up to the end of the session now. Has anybody got any questions that they would desperately like to ask Nigel? I had a chat message from Alex to say that he hasn't built any of these locos yet, but he found your talk very interesting, Nigel. And perhaps, Alex, this has inspired you to perhaps rush out and buy one, is it? Do you think?
Christmas is coming, Alex.
I'm thinking I might have a go at some point, but I have built the something different, which is not the locomotives a long time ago. I built the Avro Vulcan by Airfix, but it turned into a disaster that it's all badly damaged and it hadn't used before. So I was so sad. So I thought I could just build the locomotives instead. I could call
his granddad at the moment. I could call Patrick, my son. He's 11 years old and he's building one at the moment. Except he builds it sitting here. Here's some glue that we use, and he sits next to me, and I sort of like I talked him through it. If you decide that you want to build something like this, I'm more than happy. I'll give you my email address, and we can do it. I'll help you. I'm still a junior member, Alex, so I'll be happy to help you. And one junior to another, we can work together on it. Okay.
There's one thing that I'm going to build by his O gauge. 1 second.
Yeah. While Alex is doing that, the kit comes with a small sheet of Perspex. What I would do is I go and borrow my son's circles. You know, for drawing circles at school. I do that. I draw it onto the Perspex, and then I would literally cut it out. Or you could use Ferrero Rocher if you wanted. And I would cut it out, and I'd try and make it as it'd probably take about 6 goes to get it right just for one, but make it perfectly circular and then insert it. But scary. Right, come on, Alex. Let's see.
Here we are. It's the Pico beer van, and I haven't started it yet. Look inside of it. Oh,
yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Not started yet. I haven't made a start because I don't have
it comes with wheels?
Yeah, I don't have the right tools that I have available in my toolbox. So I had to start thinking at some point and get ready to build. And
listen, drop me a somehow. You drop me an email and we'll find something. We'll find a way. We've already spoken on. I'm sure we've spoken on Facebook, on the Guild website. I don't know. If you want me to help you, of course we will.
I think it's the first time I met you today. I didn't. It's my first time be a member this year. I just literally. Okay. Yeah. I think I started in August. It's a long story, but I'm having a good time as well.
The thing is, Alex, if you go onto the Guild website and search for the wiki, which of course is a huge database, you will see that everything is listed alphabetically. If you want to know anything about anything, really, it's available there. Plus, there's other instructional constructional videos available through the Guild website. So there's plenty of resources out there to help anybody that's a relative newcomer to the hobby.
And use the forum as well, because the forum is quite good. Because if you can start your own thing, say, I'm building this, I've never built it before, can anybody help me? And there's so many people, everybody would do that. I mean, my idea about this talk today was literally, you're perfect for this, because it's just to encourage somebody like yourself to get some tools and to have a go and to build that model. I haven't built a railway, a plastic wagon kit for a long time. The last one I built was a Slater's hopper wagon, but you'll enjoy it. And once you've built one, then the next one, and then the next one, and then when you've got 30, you're quite good at it.
Oh, thanks.
And we all started where you are too.
Yeah, and we all got help, didn't we? We all got help, or at least I hope we all got help. I joined the Keithy 7mm group all those years ago, and other than having people sticking super gluing glasses of beer onto the table at model railway exhibitions and stuff, I had a really good time, and I learned a lot about how to build stuff from people who, Robin Taylor, who's does a lot of coach building, which you see on here. I wouldn't be where I am today without help from other people. So just ask. Yeah.
Ian has just put a message up, which you probably all saw, about if you have access to a lathe, it's quite a simple matter to make a simple punch and die for knocking out circular pieces of celluloid or whatever material for making portholes. Yeah. And I've done so myself. You drill an appropriate size, or preferably drill and ream an appropriate sized hole in a piece of steel which is held in the chuck, and then with a similar sized punch held in the tailstock, you simply hold your material between the two, wind the tailstock forward, and it'll push a disc of the material into the hole in the thing, and you can make you can knock out as many as you want by that method.
Good. It's a good exercise for the lathe, working with a lathe as well, to learn as well.
You can do the same. You can do the same on a drilling machine. You don't necessarily have to use a lathe.
Yeah, yeah. I've got an Emco Unimat. The motor burnt out about 3 weeks ago. You can't get motors anymore. Luckily, there's a little engineering company, well, not a motor engineering company up the road from me. So I've got to go there and, in my best, which isn't very good, Slovakian, say, please, can you fix my motor? So we'll see. I
think you'll find, Nigel, that replacement motors for the Emco are readily available. They're similar to a sewing machine motor.
They are. They are. Yeah, they're not available in Slovakia though. And I would fly back to the UK and go to wherever and get another one. But God, it's such a hassle. It is a nightmare to fly at the moment. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, but Ian's comments is perfectly valid. Yeah.
Right. Anybody got anything else I'd like to ask? Because we've just overrun by only a few minutes, but I'm conscious of the fact that it's, well, not only is it coffee time, but there's another session following on. So we shall see you again this afternoon.
See you again this afternoon.
You'll have it finished and painted, presumably.
Finished and painted, of course, yeah. And then I'll dismantle it again so that you can see how. What we'll probably do, because an hour is quite a short period of time, but what we'll probably do is we'll screw it together because then you see something, then, don't you? That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
guys.
thanks everybody.
Nice to see you all.
Perhaps
And,
see some of you later in the day.
yeah, have a lovely time. Enjoy the rest of the show as well. I'm going to have a look around this time because normally I'm talking all the time, but now I can have a look.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure. All the best, everybody.
See you later.
Cheerio.
Catch you later.
Bye. Cheers, Alex.
See ya. Cheers.
Bye. Put this away now. Okay, Dave.
Yeah, they've nearly all gone. Yes, I think I shall have a look round this afternoon, or this morning or this afternoon, because, like you say, when you're doing a presentation yourself, or even when you're hosting, you don't get a chance to.
No.
But of course, these sessions are recorded, and they will still be available for several weeks after the show. So,
I've looked at quite a few of them, but yeah. And some of them are very, certainly like like I said, the Ian Rathbone's presentation. That's fantastic. It was so good.
Yeah. Anyway, my phone's ringing, so I'm going to disappear.
Okay, so I'll see you in whatever time you said, 2 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And we'll have something done for it. Okay.
Okay. Cheers.
All the